How's it going, guys? I'm Robert from Machado Visuals, and I was recently a guest DP for a UNLV Film class where we recreate a scene from existing source material. I actually took this class when I was going through film school, and it was a great opportunity learning about the different positions on set and how professionals work in the real world. The scene we were shooting was from The White Lotus on HBO Max, and I actually refrained from watching the show until after the shoot to avoid influencing my own creative decisions, and I actually learned that from this very class. I did, however, listen to a podcast episode from Go Creative Show featuring the show's DP, Ben Cutchins, and it was a great foundation for developing the visual style. I definitely recommend checking it out. I'll leave a link in the description below. First, we had to figure out the location. Normally, this class shoots in the on-campus studio, but our producer had recently worked with a new spot in town, Center Studios, who was gracious enough to host us and let us use their pre-built set, which worked out perfectly because our scene takes place in a hotel room. Directing the scene is my friend Heather, who I actually went to film school with, and we work together a lot professionally, but we don't often get to collaborate on narrative pieces like this, which is a nice change of pace from the typical corporate or documentary work that we usually do. For camera, we went with the trusty Red Gemini paired with the Vista Primes and all the typical camera accessories because I wanted to expose the students to modern gear that you'd find on a typical set. For filtration, I used a newer filter from Revar Cine called Scarf Dust, which is actually a diffusion filter that has a slight warmth to it and decreases contrast with a very slight halation that isn't too overbearing or distracting. When considering camera movement, we eventually settled on handheld to keep the scene grounded and evoke a sense of voyeurism. Since the scene is driven by dialogue, we wanted it to feel like something that you weren't supposed to be watching, and the handheld look gives me a sense that something is slightly off. We wanted the students to do as much of the work as possible, but there were a few performance-heavy takes that I ended up operating on to be sure we got what we needed. When approaching lighting, Heather and I discussed the scene being later in the day so we can keep a warmer palette and introduce moody hard light to give a sense of duality for the characters. For reference, here's what the lighting plot looked like. We started with a warm push through the window, which was a 600D and the F10 Fresnel with a Roscoe Sun CTO, which runs a little bit warmer than traditional CTO and converts to about 2900 Kelvin. If you think about why we love golden hour so much, a lot of it comes down to the sun's color and direction. The lower angle gives a lot more contour to the face and casts long shadows to add texture throughout a scene, and the warmer color just feels natural and relaxing. I knew that the window light wouldn't be enough to lift the entire room, so we rigged Astera tubes along the top of the flats using C-clamps and wirelessly connected via the Astera box so I can control everything via an iPad. We used the far baby pin to angle the tubes slightly towards the ceiling to soften up the ambience and even out the room, and this gave us a good ambient level and made it feel like the window was actually illuminating the room. We also added a tropical backdrop outside the window to help sell the environment and add some blue into the highlights outside the window instead of just plain white walls. Other than that, lighting didn't really change that much throughout the scene. Whenever I approach lighting, I tried to light the scene globally to give freedom for the actors, and then massage the lighting as we move in for coverage. For Rachel's coverage, I used a 300D on the spotlight mount to skip light across the bed for a low soft key that felt like the extension of the window light, and for Shane, we just flew in a 4x ultra balance for more of a passive return. I did consider using tungsten units for the scene, but there were only a couple open circuits at the location, which really limited our power availability. Hopefully this video is helpful in some way, and not only to you, but to the students at UNLV. I always really enjoy going back to work on projects with UNLV because I'm hopeful that it'll inspire students in the same way I was inspired when I went through the program. I'll leave a link to the final edit in the description below once it's ready, and I'd love to know your thoughts on the scene. Special thanks to Center Studios for letting us use their fantastic space, and I'm excited to see them grow over the years. If you have any questions, obviously feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.